Jeffrey Hudson, a dwarf with a penchant for survival, outlived 3 monarchs. His life was a masterclass in cunning, a delicate balancing act of wit and charm that allowed him to thrive in the treacherous world of medieval royal courts, where one misstep could mean a swift trip to the gallows. And the only thing more plentiful than the wine was the number of ways to die, from poisoning to beheading. And yet this little guy managed to stay one step ahead of the executioner, probably by being more adept at kissing royal behinds than a proctologist on a mission from God, all while maintaining a network of spies and informants that would put a modern-day CIA operative to shame. And I'm not even kidding, this guy was like a real-life Tyrion Lannister, minus the whole being a likable character thing. Because Hudson was a product of his time. A time when the phrase survival of the fittest was not just a cliché, but a cold, hard fact. And if you didn't have the stomach for it, then you were better off taking the permanent nap, like my ex-wife Karen's uncle, who thought he could take on the world with nothing but a participation trophy and a bad haircut. He became a spy. Anyway, back to this idiot, Hudson, who somehow managed to navigate the complex web of alliances and rivalries that defined the royal court, all while keeping his head firmly attached to his shoulders, a feat that I can only assume required a combination of luck, charm, and a healthy dose of skepticism. Because when you're dealing with royals, you can't trust anyone, not even the guy who's pouring your wine. And don't even get me started on the whole QR code menu thing. Can we just go back to having actual menus that don't require a degree in computer science to navigate? And then snap back to reality with the fact that Hudson's story is, or at least that's what I keep telling myself when I'm stuck in a meeting that could have been an email. Hudson's ridiculous antics were just the tip of the iceberg. He was a master of manipulation, using his dwarfism to his advantage, playing the fool while secretly pulling the strings behind the scenes. His ability to make King Charles I laugh was just a small part of his arsenal, as he expertly navigated the complex web of alliances and rivalries that defined the royal court, all while keeping his head firmly attached to his shoulders, a feat that required a combination of luck, charm, and a healthy dose of skepticism, rather like a circus performer juggling chainsaws while riding a unicycle, and just as likely to end in disaster. But hey, that's what made it so entertaining, right? Like watching a train wreck in slow motion. You can't look away, even though you know it's going to end badly. He was a chameleon. His fatal flaw was unchecked ambition, which would ultimately be his downfall. But for now, it was the driving force behind his meteoric rise to power. A rise that was as impressive as it was unlikely, rather like a $100 bill showing up in your pocket when you're down to your last nickel. It's a nice surprise, but you know it's not going to last, and when it's gone, you're left with nothing but the memories of how good it felt to have it, and the crushing reality of having to go back to being broke. Ambition's a hell of a drug. It fuels the rise of court jesters like Archy Armstrong, who insulted the king's wife and got away with it, rather like Kanye West insulting Taylor Swift at the VMAs, but with fewer Twitter followers and more risk of being beheaded. His fatal flaw was thinking he could outsmart the royal family, a notion as ridiculous as Donald Trump claiming he's a genius, and just as likely to end in disaster, like watching a clown car crash in slow motion. You can't look away, even though you know it's going to be a train wreck, with Armstrong's sharp tongue and quick wit being the equivalent of a juggler's knives, entertaining, yet precarious, and just as likely to cut both ways, leaving you to wonder, is Hudson dumber than your boss for thinking he could outsmart the royal family? Or is he just more entertaining, like a performer juggling chainsaws while riding a unicycle? A feat that's as impressive as it is unlikely, rather like finding a $100 bill on the street. It's a nice surprise, but you know it's not going to last. Pause the video and comment, is Hudson dumber than your boss? Or is he just more entertaining, like a modern-day rapper, spewing out raunchy lyrics, rather like Robert Herrick, who wrote poems so explicit they'd make a modern-day rapper blush, and yet he got away with it, rather like a thief in the night stealing the show. With his words, a true master of the art of euphemism, a skill that's as useful as it is rare, like finding a needle in a haystack, or an honest politician. A feat that's as impressive as it is unlikely. Rather like a sunrise on a cloudy day, it's a nice surprise, but you know it's not going to last. Hudson's antics make a Kardashian look subtle. He became a Roundhead spy during the English Civil War, leveraging his dwarfism to gather intel from the enemy's court, a move as brazen as it is absurd, rather like a mouse infiltrating a cat's lair, or a telemarketer trying to sell you something you don't need, with all the finesse of a drunk elephant on roller skates. His ability to blend in, or rather, stand out due to his physical stature, allowed him to move undetected, like a ghost in the shadows or a cockroach in a dirty kitchen, always lurking, always listening, and always waiting for the perfect moment to strike, with the precision of a Swiss watch, or a snake striking its prey. He was a master of disguise, a chameleon, a court jester with a license to kill, or at least to gather intel, and his methods were as unorthodox as they were effective. Like a modern-day hacker, using social engineering to get what he wants, or a snake oil salesman, peddling his wares to the unsuspecting masses. My neighbor's dog is more discreet than Hudson was, and that dog is always barking at the mailman. Anyway, back to this idiot who thought he could outsmart the enemy, like a magician pulling a rabbit out of a hat, or a politician making promises they can't keep, with a smile as wide as the Grand Canyon, and a tongue as silver as a snake's belly. Hudson's espionage skills were as impressive as they were unlikely, like finding a four-leaf clover in a field of weeds, or an honest used car salesman, a feat that's as rare as a unicorn's horn or a politician's integrity. Hudson's espionage skills were as impressive as they were unlikely, like finding a four-leaf clover in a field of weeds. His ability to gather intel was matched only by his ability to talk his way out of trouble, a skill he honed to perfection, much like a used car salesman peddling lemons to unsuspecting buyers, with a silver tongue that could charm the devil himself, and a smile that could disarm even the most skeptical of souls, all while maintaining a level of sophistication that rivaled that of a royal court jester, minus the silly hat and oversized shoes, but with an added layer of cunning and ruthlessness that would put even the most seasoned politician to shame. He survived by being politically useful, a clown with power, and his ultimate fate was charm and ruthlessness. His story was so crazy that it inspired a character in a Shakespeare play, which we'll reveal in our next video because, of course, we have to keep you hooked, like a fish on a line or a viewer on a cliffhanger. So subscribe to our channel and hit that Ko-Fi link to support more content like this. Now,